Hello, welcome back. In this quiz, we curated 30 simple yet tricky questions to test your knowledge about the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. Study to show thyself approved, 2 Timothy 2:15. Are you ready? Who was the man who came to Jesus by night? Correct answer, Nicodemus. John 3:1 and 2. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. This man came to Jesus by night. How many people were fed with 7 loaves and a few fish? Correct answer, 4,000. Matthew 15:38. Now those who ate were 4,000 men, besides women and children. In the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, who went home justified? Correct answer, the tax collector. Luke 18:14. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Who was the disciple who walked on water with Jesus? Correct answer, Peter. Matthew 14:29. So he said, come. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. Where was the woman at the well from? Correct answer, Samaria. John 4:7. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, give me a drink. What did Jesus say about the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit? Correct answer, it cannot be forgiven. Matthew 12:31. Therefore, I say to you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven men. In the parable of the unmerciful servant, how much did the servant owe his master? Correct answer, 10,000 talents. Matthew 18:24. And when he had begun to settle accounts, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. Who was the woman who gave 2 mites as an offering? Correct answer, A poor widow. Mark 12:42-43. Then one poor widow came and threw in 2 mites, which make a quadrans. So he called his disciples to himself and said to them, Assuredly I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury. Who was the friend of Jesus whom he raised from the dead? Correct answer, Lazarus. John 11:43-44. Now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes. In the parable of the vineyard workers, when were the last workers hired? Correct answer, the 11th hour. Matthew 20:6. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle. What did Jesus say about the gate that leads to destruction? Correct answer, it is wide. Matthew 7:13. Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. In the parable of the prodigal son, what did the father do when his son returned? Correct answer, he threw a celebration feast. Luke 15:23-24. And bring the fatted calf here and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. How many silver coins did Judas receive for betraying Jesus? Correct answer, 30. Matthew 26:15, and said, What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you? And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. In the parable of the rich fool, what did the man plan to do? Correct answer, build bigger barns. Luke 12:18. So he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and my goods. Who was the ruler of the synagogue, whose daughter Jesus raised from the dead? Correct answer, Jairus. Luke 8:41. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house. In the parable of the wedding feast, what happened to those who were invited? Correct answer. They made excuses. Luke 14:18. But they all with one accord began to make excuses. How many lepers did Jesus heal in a certain village? Correct answer, 10. Luke 17:12. Then as he entered a certain village, there met him 10 men who were lepers, who stood afar off. What did Jesus say about laying up treasures? Correct answer. Store them in heaven. Matthew 6:20. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. Who was the woman who anointed Jesus' feet with expensive perfume? Correct answer. Mary of Bethany, John 12:3. Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. How many days did Jesus fast in the wilderness? Correct answer, 40 days. Matthew 4:2. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterward he was hungry. In the parable of the 10 virgins, how many were wise? Correct answer, 5. Matthew 25:2. Now 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. What did Jesus say about the narrow gate? Correct answer. It leads to life. Matthew 7:14. Because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. What did Jesus say about his sheep? Correct answer. They know his voice. John 10, verse 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, who was the neighbor? Correct answer. The Samaritan. Luke 10:36-37. So which of these three do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And he said, he who showed mercy on him. Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." What did Jesus say about the truth? Correct answer. It will make you free. John 8:32. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. How many times did Jesus say we should forgive someone? Correct answer, 70 times 7. Matthew 18:22. Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. What did Jesus say about the scribes and Pharisees? Correct answer. They were hypocrites. Matthew 23:13. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. What did Jesus say would happen to those who live by the sword? Correct answer. They will die by the sword. Matthew 26:52. But Jesus said to him, Put your sword in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. In the parable of the talents, how many talents did the lazy servant receive? Correct answer, 1. Matthew 25:15. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of Dash. Correct answer, heaven. Matthew 5:3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. God bless you